graduation, and we wish them once again congratulations on that milestone. I would now like to ask the Honorable Mr. Cardigan Khanna to bless us with a word of prayer.
Thank you, Acting Premier. Let's bow our heads. Father, thank you again for the opportunity for us as elected members to come before the people of Anguilla, to be able to give clarity on our different positions in government, our different ministries. And Father, we ask that those who are listening wherever they are, that they would pay attention and be very supportive of what we're actually trying to do. This we ask in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mr. Khanna. Before we begin, we wish to convey apologies for the Honorable Premier, Ms. Cora Richardson Hodge, who is unable to join us at today's press conference. The Premier is currently away on official government business, attending the 51st CARICOM Heads of Government meeting, and upon conclusion of that meeting, she will be traveling to Dominica to participate in the Monetary Council meeting. The Honorable Premier thanks you for your understanding and looks forward to engaging with the public upon her return. The government of Anguilla extends heartfelt thoughts and prayers to the people of Venezuela and all those affected by the earthquake. During this difficult time, we stand in solidarity with the government and people of Venezuela, as well as everyone impacted by this tragic event. We extend our deepest sympathies to those who have suffered loss or hardship and wish a swift and full recovery to all of those who've been injured. Our thoughts remain with the affected communities and with all those involved in the response and recovery efforts. I also wish to put on record the government of Anguilla's sincerest condolences to the persons who have recently passed away. Mr. Albert Hawley, better known as Garrett, and Mr. Reynolds Richardson. At this time, I will now move on to updates that are related to my substantive post as the Minister of Education, Social Development, Library Services, and Probation. I wish to announce that the Chief Education Officer has officially moved to the position of Principal Assistant Secretary in the Deputy Governor's Office, effective 1st July 2026. Over the course of the next couple of months, we will have a rotation of acting appointments for that Chief Education Officer position while the position is publicly advertised and the recruitment process is completed. I wish to put on record my sincerest gratitude to Mr. Bren Romney for his contribution to education for the last 6 to 7 years, and I wish him every success in his new role and new position. I also wish to announce that there will be a reshuffling of a number of the deputy principals across the primary schools, and the education team will officially announce within the coming weeks where these various deputy principals will be reassigned. The annual Professional Development Week kicked off today, and it'll go until July 8th. It's a national symposium on leadership for the primary and secondary educational leaders. And this is led by consultants from the learning branch and the education officer, human resources management and professional development in the education department. We wish them every success this week as they continue to train and develop our leaders in the education system. Tomorrow, I will be holding a meeting with the officer responsible for all of the works that will be undertaken in the schools, the senior maintenance officer. We have a meeting at 9 a.m. tomorrow to go through all of the outstanding maintenance works. As I would have indicated in the past, this year we would have started the plans a bit earlier, the procurement a bit earlier than normal, so to ensure that we don't have a repeat of last year where the schools had to open later. So once I'm completed with that meeting tomorrow, we will be doing a number of site visits throughout the course of this week so that we can ensure that all work is off to a great start now that school has closed. And of course, at the next press conference, I'll be able to give the general public an update on how those works are progressing. We're also gearing up for the summer festival. Very recently, the Anguilla Summer Festival Committee was represented in St. Kitts at the St. Kitts Music Festival. They would have had a display there as well as an opportunity to have promotional material and items promoting the Anguilla Summer Festival that's coming up shortly. So look out to see quite a bit of promotions of the Anguilla Summer Festival here, St. Martin, and a number of the other neighboring islands as well. I wish to put on record my sincerest gratitude to the entire Summer Festival Committee for all the hard work that they've been undertaking, as well as the Festival's Development Commission for the support that they have been providing to the Anguilla Summer Festival Committee as well. And that brings me to the end of my updates for the time being. If there are any questions, I will take them at the end. Mr. Hodge?
Thank you, Acting Premier. Good afternoon to the media. Good afternoon to the people listening on radio via stream. Let's start with an update about water. We are all aware that Anguilla is currently experiencing a prolonged dry spell. The dry season is now fully upon us. I have heard several reports and discussions, including comments on a radio program, suggesting that Anguilla as a whole is running out of water. I want to assure the public that that is simply not the case. From the government's perspective, our water production remains strong and sustainable. I have been off. I'll start over. I realized the mic wasn't on. Good afternoon again to the people, the media, and the people of Anguilla. I want to start with a water update. We are all aware that Anguilla is currently experiencing a prolonged dry spell, and the dry season is now fully upon us. I have heard several reports and discussions, including comments on a radio program, suggesting that Anguilla on a whole is running out of water. I want to assure the public that this is simply not true. From the government's perspective, our water production remains strong and sustainable. Seven Seas continues to produce without issue just under 1 million gallons per day. And TSG, the brackish water plant, continues to deliver its daily production targets just under 500,000 gallons per day. There's no shortage in the government's ability to produce water. Seven Seas produces desalinated water from the sea, and the sea is in abundance, and TSG gets their water from the Valley Aquifer. What we have seen over the past month is that some private suppliers have struggled to keep pace with the increased commercial demand and the needs of some of the homes they service. We recognize that this has created challenges for a number of residents. With that in mind, I met with the Department of Water Services this morning and made it clear that our priority must be ensuring that our people have access to water, particularly for residential use. Access to clean water is essential to life and good health and is central to our commitment to the people of Anguilla. Accordingly, the department has been tasked with ensuring that households in need receive water. Whether that means arranging for water trucks to deliver water to homes that are not hooked up to the Department of Water Service, or homes that are not getting an adequate supply for one reason or another. So I expect that we will be moving in this direction soon to ensure a better level of water security for all residents of Anguilla. Water is a basic human necessity. Every resident must have access to it, and it must be provided at a reasonable and affordable rate. I am also pleased to report that the issues surrounding several recent disconnections have been addressed and that all affected customers have now been reconnected. As it relates to the water project, just a quick update on the procurement for installation of utility mains manholes project for the Jeremiah Gums Highway, otherwise known as the Jeremiah Gums Highway project. The evaluation committee would have submitted their report to the procurement board today. The board meets this week to make a determination. The Long Pad project, this procurement document have been completed and it is currently under review before it's released to the public for invitation to bid. This project, the Long Pad one, will be divided into 5 separate sections to allow for more contractors to participate, and we hope that this will accelerate the delivery of that project. So basically both water projects are in different stages of the procurement process as we speak. As it relates to the water building, significant progress is being made on the new water department building in Crocus Hill. The first floor roof has been poured, block work just about completed, and we are now seeing beams and second floor roof being decked as we speak. The roof of the storage building has also been completed, and the plastering work is already underway on several walls. This facility would provide the Department of Water Services with the space needed to improve operations, storage, and customer service. Just a quick update on the hotel investment sector. The government of Anguilla is pleased to report continued momentum within the island's tourism and investment sector, with several major developments being advanced simultaneously. This demonstrates growing investor confidence in Anguilla's economy and the future. Over the past several months, significant progress has been made on a number of major projects that will contribute to Anguilla's long-term economic growth. Most recently, on Friday, the 12th of June, 2026, government would have signed the first supplementary agreement to the Memorandum of Understanding for Phase 2 of the Tranquility Beach Resort development, building on the success of the award-winning Phase 1 development on Meads Bay, Tranquility Beach number 1. The second phase represents an estimated investment of approximately $21 million US and will add a further 17 luxury units to Anguilla's tourism inventory. Construction is expected to commence by the end of year and continue through to 2028, creating employment opportunities and generating additional economic activity throughout the construction and operational phases. Earlier this year, we also signed an MOU with Beach Enclave, another significant tourism investment that further reinforces Anguilla's reputation as a premier luxury destination. In the coming weeks, government anticipates signing an additional agreement for the Rendezvous Dune Club development, further expanding the pipeline of tourism-related investments currently under consideration. That MOU should be signed by the end of July, early in August. We've had several discussions with new investors that would have arrived on the island a few weeks ago, and I'm expecting some further conversations by the end of this week with some other potential investors. At the same time, work continues on the transformational Port Namara Marina development, a project that has benefited from the support of multiple administrations over the past decade, from the commissioning of the Edgewater Marina study in 2017 to the signing of the original MOU in 2023, and now the ongoing construction activities taking place today. The Port Namara Boat Slips Act 2026 was passed in the House of Assembly earlier this year. In speaking with the investor a few days ago, he revealed that vessel slips are selling out quickly, and we will see our first set of alien landholding licenses coming in from the marina sales within a few weeks. I would also like to add that slips are also available for locals as well, whether for personal use or to sublease as an investment. My last update would be on sargassum management in Anguilla. Finally, I would like to address the issue of sargassum, which is truly everyone's business because it's far-reaching because of its far-reaching environmental, economic, and public health implications. From the 1st to the 4th of June, 2026, Mr. Ron Connor, Director of the Environment Unit within the Department of Natural Resources, and Mr. Samuel Glasgow represented Anguilla at the Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States Sargassum Study Tour of Martinique and Guadeloupe. A major focus of the visit was to examine how Martinique and Guadeloupe have been actively managing the influx of sargassum through a combination of state-of-the-art equipment and manual removal methods. Mr. Connor and the other OECS representatives were exposed to a number of collection and management techniques that could be adopted and implemented in their respective islands. These methods included the use of the sargator, a specialized piece of equipment that collects sargassum at sea via a conveyor system and transfers it onto a barge. The installation of specialized booms are barriers designed to intercept sargassum before it reaches the shoreline. The deployment of dedicated personnel to specific beaches to use the beach rake and manually remove sargassum within 24 hours of its arrival, preventing decomposition and minimizing environmental and public health impacts. The use of high-tech sensors and monitoring equipment to track air quality and provide alerts to communities regarding potential health concerns associated with decomposing sargassum and its odor. Discussions also focused on the valorization of sargassum and the opportunities to create economic value from this natural resource. Areas explored included its potential as a biofuel, agricultural fertilizer, and other commercial applications. Here in Anguilla, we have also recently met with the Anguilla Hotel and Tourism Association to explore opportunities for collaboration in addressing this challenge. We have recognized that the issue of sargassum is not going away, and we must therefore approach it with a long-term strategy that includes both mitigation and value creation. Accordingly, the government intends to increase its investment in sargassum management. This will include expanding the Department of Environment's equipment inventory, exploring the use of offshore barriers and booms, and strengthening our manual response capacity. The ministry, together with Mr. Ron Connor, the Director of the Department of Environment, and the Department of Natural Resources team, will continue to examine and implement practical strategies and solutions aimed at developing an integrated and sustainable approach to sargassum management in Anguilla. That would be it from me for today for updates from my ministry.
Thank you very much, Minister Hodge. And we'll now move on to Minister Vanterpool.
Thank you, Acting Premier. Good afternoon to all who are listening via the various mediums. It's my pleasure today to give an update on behalf of the Ministry of Infrastructure, Communications, Utilities, Housing, IT, and E-Government Services, and I'll begin with an update on the airport. The apron extension is substantially completed with only line painting remaining to be done. The airport exit road has been completed and is now open for use. And the airport management is working with the regulator towards removing the fence that currently exists on the apron. As it relates to the runway extension, ACON has been issued an award letter from the procurement board for the runway extension. The runway contract between the government of Anguilla and ACON is now under review, with the process expected to be completed by the end of next week. Next steps, timelines, and expectations. We expect that mobilization period will be between July and September. We expect the start of construction to be towards the end of August or early September. And in the meantime, the ministry will be conducting consultations with airlines and the various stakeholders. In terms of the runway project phasing, Phase 1 will be the apron and taxiway rehabilitation and strengthening. Phase 2 will be the runway profiling, so raising the runway itself. Phase 3 will be the extension of the runway and the relocation of the Tanglewood Road. Phase 4 will be the runway widening. Phase 5 will work on the resurface and the turn pads at the end of the runways. Phase 6, the runway resurfacing, including grooving and painting of the runway. and phase 7 will be the partial parallel taxiway. And just for the benefit of the listening public, some of these phases will be happening at the same time. So it's not like we have to move from phase 1 to 2. There will be walks taking place in multiple phases at the same time, including work to be taking place at night. As it relates to the Anguilla Fire and Rescue Services, the Anguilla Fire and Rescue Services has enhanced its fleet by adding a Rosenbauer wet-side pumper, bringing the number of emergency response vehicles in the domestic division of the fleet to 3. The new wet-side pumper will support both in the rapid intervention vehicle and the Spartan commercial pumper, ensuring comprehensive coverage across the island. The vehicle was newly built at the Rosenbauer factory in South Dakota and was inspected earlier this year in April by Deputy Chief Fire Officer Mr. Carlisle Lake, Firefighter Craig Emanuel, and the Superintendent of Vehicles within the ministry, Mr. Devlin Connor, before being shipped to Anguilla. It was formally handed over to the government of Anguilla and the Anguilla Fire and Rescue Services during a ceremony that was held last Friday morning. The wet-side pumper boasts a capacity of 1,800 gallons of water and 50 gallons of foam. Its substantial water tank will increase the capabilities and enable it to assist in airport crash tender when additional water supply is required, which hopefully it's not. The Anguilla Fire and Rescue Service also added a new search and rescue dinghy vessel to its fleet. This will allow the service to respond quickly and effectively to marine emergencies, specifically at the shoreline or in areas where larger vessels cannot easily be maneuvered. Regarding the roads projects, beginning with the South Hill to Jeremiah Gums Highway Road, a portion of the Jeremiah Gums Highway was temporarily closed to facilitate the final section of that road development and to do so in a manner that was safe for the workers who are carrying out the works. As of Saturday, that road has been reopened, and the ministry would like to thank the general public for their patience and understanding during this process. The contractor and his team that will finalize the construction of he has a team that will finalize the construction of the sidewalks on the Jeremiah Gums end, while another part of his team will be mobilized to the South Hill end to complete the works at the entrance of the road there. The pole at the entrance that was obstructing the construction works has been relocated, and I would like to thank the team at the ministry as well as Anglic and the utility companies for their coordination in completing these works. As it relates to the Valley Roads projects, that being the Raphael T. Lake Road and the Albert Lake Drive, conversations have been ongoing between the ministry and the procurement department regarding revisions to the ITB. We expect this process to be wrapped up this week and the tender to be issued by the end of this week. The Ministry of Infrastructure also recently partnered with Synergy in order to prepare a test road so that they can demonstrate the capabilities of their new chip and seal truck. So for clarity, the government of Anguilla would have prepared the sub-base, and while Synergy would have come in and used their truck and the material to actually lay the chip and seal on the road, and that came at no cost to the government of Anguilla beyond preparing the sub-base. This test marks a significant milestone in the government being able to tackle road development throughout our communities. No longer will we just have to apply some dirt or some marl to a road and then have it washed away in 2 weeks when rain comes. Last year, prior to finding out about Synergy's investment in their chip and sealing equipment, this administration also made a strategic decision to invest in similar equipment. Our truck, which has recently completed construction, will be inspected in the coming weeks to finalize its functionality before shipping to Anguilla. The ministry is currently in the planning stage, and the intention is not to compete with the private sector, but to maximize development throughout our communities by making sure that all available equipment that we have on hand is put to work. As it relates to government accommodations, BCQS is currently compiling a report for the government related to the scope of the government accommodations. This report will feed into a master plan for the government complex, following which the designs of the building will commence. We expect to receive this report next week. A summary of the building projects. At the Royal Anguilla Police Force, the construction of the office space, the finishing works is currently ongoing. At His Majesty's Prison, the construction of the workshop, the roof has been poured and doors and windows along other finishes are to be completed. At the Combined Services Building, the replacement of the HVAC system has been completed. and the construction of office extension for the Department of Water Services. This project is progressing as per schedule and with an estimated completion date of August 2026. As it relates to AI and the .ai domain, while the numbers for June have not yet been received, for the month of May, the .ai domain generated 12.6 million US dollars, equivalent to just over 33 million EC dollars in revenue for Anguilla. As part of this administration's strategy to firmly position Anguilla as the home of AI and the AI capital of the region, I am pleased to report the successful hosting of Anguilla's second International AI Conference for 2026. The Caribbean AI Workshop was delivered through partnership between the Government of Anguilla, facilitated through the Ministry of Infrastructure, along with the Anguilla House of Assembly, UNESCO, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association UK, CPA UK, as well as Parl-Americas. The workshop welcomed parliamentarians, ministers, speakers, senators, and international experts from across Anguilla, the United Kingdom, including representatives from both the House of Commons and the House of Lords, Barbados, Belize, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Martin, and Turks and Caicos Islands, Antigua and Barbuda, and regional organizations including the World Bank, CARICOM Impacts, and the University of the West Indies. This breadth of participation further reinforces Anguilla's growing reputation as the convener of conversations within the region as it pertains to artificial intelligence and digital transformation. Over 4 days, delegates explored a wide range of critical issues, including the use of AI in parliamentary operations and public service delivery, AI readiness assessments, ethical AI governance, data privacy and accountability, AI legislation and regulation, cybersecurity, misinformation and digital resilience, intellectual property, inclusion and accessibility, and regional cooperation on AI governance. Participants also examined practical case studies, including Anguilla's own AI-powered Hansard system and the role of public-private partnerships in accelerating digital transformation. The significance of this workshop extends well beyond the event itself. It has strengthened regional collaboration, advanced responsible AI governance throughout the Caribbean, and further established Anguilla as a recognized international leader in shaping the conversation on ethical, practical, and inclusive AI intelligence. As the home of the .ai domain, we are demonstrating that Anguilla is not only benefiting economically from AI, but is also helping to shape how AI is governed and applied responsibly across the region and beyond. Thank you, and there ends my update for today.
I want to quickly add something to the minister's update. On the Chip and Seal Road, I would invite everybody, the general public. I want to encourage and invite them to go and test the road, go and drive on the road. I've driven on it several times. I'm sure the minister drove on it several times too. The only problem I have with it is that it's too short. But other than that, it's a really nice, smooth road. And the only way we can really determine the strength of it is to drive on it, test it, and of course, drive responsibly. But it's a really nice road. And once this is rolled out through the different communities, the people of Anguilla will be happy.
Thank you, Minister, for that intervention. And one more thing I forgot that I would like to add. A number of persons have been reaching out wondering what is the process for them to be able to have these roads in their communities. And as I said, we want to roll out not only this equipment, but when government gets its equipment, quickly throughout the many communities throughout our island. The one challenge that we have is land. So for example, seeing that public funds will be used to develop these roads, there are some roads where if the entire road is public and owned by the Crown, we can proceed with those roads. But there are some roads where some of the sections have not been transferred to the Crown. And so one thing that we would like to see is members of the community stepping up and also organizing. Approach us as government, say we as a community have come together and we are willing to give up a small portion of our land towards the Crown for road development. As long as we can facilitate the process of the land being transferred to the Crown so that it's a public road and it can't be blocked, then we as a government will do our part to ensure that we can quickly roll out and have these roads developed with the chip and seal. So it's going to take a collaborative effort between us as government and you within the community. So please organize, come together. If you as a community are willing to come together and give government the land it requires, we are committed to developing those roads. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Minister Vanterpool. And now, Mr. Minister Connor.
Thank you, Acting Premier. I'll focus today mainly on tourism and briefs on sports. Again, good day to members of the media, to my colleagues in government, tourism stakeholders, and the people of Anguilla. Tourism remains one of Anguilla's most important economic pillars and continues to demonstrate resilience, growth, and strong destination appeal. The government of Anguilla, through the Ministry of Tourism and the Anguilla Tourist Board, remains focused on sustainable growth in tourism, increased visitor spending, destination visibility, and strengthened partnerships across the industry. Today's update highlights key tourism developments and promotional activities undertaken during the period May to July 2026. Anguilla continues to build on the strong tourism performance recorded in 2025, with continued momentum across both stayover and excursionist arrivals. May 2026 recorded 33,324 total visitor arrivals, including 11,180 stayover visitors. Stayover arrivals for May 2026 reflected approximately 15.6% growth when compared with May of 2025. The United States remains Anguilla's leading source market, supported by strong consumer demand, airline connectivity, trade relationships, and destination marketing activity. Regional and international visitor interest remains positive, with continued focus on luxury travel, culinary tourism, culture, wellness, festivals, and authentic Anguillan experiences. These results reinforce Anguilla's confidence that the tourism product and validate the importance of sustained marketing, public relations, trade engagements, and visitor experience development. Some of the strategic focus for the remainder of 2026 will include continuing to expand Anguilla's visibility across priority international and regional markets, strengthen partnerships with airlines, travel advisors, media, tour operators, wholesalers, consortia, and destination stakeholders. We'll also increase year-round visitation through targeted campaigns, summer promotions, trade engagement, public relations, and destination storytelling. We'll also promote Anguilla's distinctive strengths, including luxury, cuisine, culture, romance, wellness, festivals, beaches, and authentic local experiences. Advance public-private sector collaboration to ensure that tourism growth benefits communities, businesses, workers, and the wider Anguillan economy. We'll also continue positioning Anguilla as the Caribbean's premier luxury destination, and a destination defined by exceptional experiences, warm hospitality, and authentic island character. I wish to thank the Anguilla Tourist Board, our tourism stakeholders, hoteliers, villa partners, restaurateurs, ferry and airline partners, taxi operators, tour providers, frontline workers, cultural ambassadors, and the people of Anguilla for their continued contribution to the success of the tourism industry. The outlook for the remainder of 2026 remains positive, and we will continue working collectively to ensure that Anguilla remains competitive, visible, and highly regarded in the global tourism marketplace. Tourism is everyone's business, and together we will continue to protect, promote, and strengthen Anguilla's position as one of the Caribbean's most desirable destinations. And just a bit from the tourism unit. The tourism unit is currently in the process of issuing several requests for expressions of interest for a number of projects, including one focused on the development of the National Tourism Policy and Standards Framework. This initiative is expected to commence in late 2026 and continue throughout 2027. The National Tourism Policy will provide strategic direction for the tourism industry, as the previous policy has expired and the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan has been outdated since 2020. In developing the new policy, the ministry will collaborate with regional partners and adapt relevant frameworks, including the Sustainable Tourism Action Plan, developed by the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, that's the OECS Commission, to ensure alignment with regional best practices and sustainable tourism objectives. Painting and minor repairs at Wall Blake House will continue over the next 3 weeks. Upon completion of these works, the ministry will focus on reopening the facility in preparation for the upcoming tourism season. The goal is to have the building fully operational and appropriately staffed to support its role in the delivery of tourism services. On to sports, and congratulations to a national long jumper, 18-year-old Jonif Gums, on winning the bronze medal with a personal best of 7.29 meters or 23 feet 11 inches at the Association of National Olympic Committees of Eastern Caribbean States, which was held in Nevis over the weekend. Four athletes from Anguilla took part in that event. So congratulations to Mr. Gums, and he'll be going off to the Commonwealth Games in a couple of weeks. After a few weeks and some postponements of boat races, the last 4 boat races ended up having 4 different winners, which obviously makes it much more exciting these days. The Albert Hughes race was won by the Bush Boys. The King's Birthday, that was in Crocus Bay, that was won by the Light and Peace. The Whitmundy race, which was postponed about 3 times, was won by the Sonic. And yesterday, the Albert Romney boat race was won by the Wizard. The John T. boat, or not boat race, but cycling race, the 25th anniversary, took part over the weekend. And the elite yesterday, the winner came from St. Martin, and second and third from Belize. Anguilla's leading cyclist was Delroy Carty, who came in 4th. So thank you for that, Madam Premier.
Thank you very much, Minister Khanna. Now I'd like to open the floor for any questions from the media.
Good afternoon, Niamke Brooks from Radio Anguilla. My first question would be in relation to the salary revision. The deadline has passed for civil servants to express their grievances, and is currently undergoing a review process at this moment. How soon do you expect this review process to be completed? And is there any actual chance of persons' salaries being revised? And what will that actually look like?
Well, as you're aware, Mr. Brooks, the revision exercise is not handled by the government of Anguilla. It's handled under the Deputy Governor's Office and through public administration. However, we have met very recently with the DG and the PS Public Administration to get an update. And they would have given us a thorough update on the number of application grievances that were formally submitted. It was upwards of 85 grievances that were set out. Those grievances are being reviewed individually on a case-by-case basis based on their merit, and they will be taken into consideration. And in the event that there is merit with those grievances, adjustments will be made. That is the expectation, that adjustments will be made.
Yes.
However, in terms of the review process, it's hard to tell at this particular point in time. We know that it will not be ready for the July payday for certain because because Treasury needs a lead time to be able to get those payments in place, and it is important for a thorough review of these grievances to be done.
Yes. You said 85, upwards of 85 grievances. How does that factor in, for example, the teachers as a body, nurses as a body? How is that factored in?
I'm not sure what you mean by how is it factored in, but the grievances, everyone had an opportunity to register formal grievances. Some people made the decision to register those grievances in a block. If, for example, you have the same position at the same level, there's some persons who've made grievances as a block.
Okay. Yes. My second update is from my second question. Sorry, is from Minister Hodge. You'd have mentioned that water production is at its regular levels, but as you know, every evening around 5 o'clock, water is shut off. How soon do you expect for us to have 24/7 water? Like, what is actually needed for us to get to that point? I know that the network needs to be redone, but does it require a full revamping for us to get to a point of 24/7 water?
Yeah, the network is old. It definitely will take a full revamping of the entire network over a period of years. I can't put on record, how soon we will see that, but the steps that we are taking now to divert water into Blum Point through Jeremiah Gums Highway, that will alleviate the issues of the network in South Hill, and the plan to change the pipe from the Proctor's area all the way up to Sandy Hill, that will stop a lot of leaks. So that is just one phase of the whole redevelopment of the water infrastructure. Moving on from that, we will look at other areas in Anguilla based on the Castalia report that shows us, where the other bad areas are. So there are about another 3 or 4 areas that we need to fix over the coming years. So, for 2027, there'll be a different list of districts to be done. And once we plug these leaks, we'll be able to see more volume in the tank, because, a lot of it is just wastage. A lot of it leaks out, we're not seeing it because it leaks underground. And once we plug those leaks, then we'll be able to see more capacity, more volume, and then we'll know where to go from there in terms of production. I've often also said that we should have at least 3 million gallons of water stored. So maybe we will still need to increase production, once we fix the leaks. But, it's only a matter of time once we get this through this year and into the other areas next year. We'll then begin to see what we need to do in terms of production and storage.
Mr. Hardwally, on the question about water, I am to ask, so if there has ever been a study conducted to determine what actually caused these leaks?
I'm not in possession of a study, so I would be guessing. If I was to suggest what could cause the leaks, I would be guessing. But people have said that in the past when the pipes were being laid, they didn't have proper bedding underneath. So in some areas where there might be a rock, hard stone, the turning on and off of water can cause a little vibration. These things have been said, but I have no actual report or study that says to me that that is actually the case. So there are different theories out there in terms of what could be causing the various leaks. So I can't say for a fact.
But I think that should be established even before you go into a new phase of replanting the pipes, because you mentioned an area from Proctor to Sand Hill. If I am to think wisely, that area don't have much rocks. And we are seeing a lot of leaks in the Quarter to Sand Hill area. So if rocks is one of our biggest issues, then that have to be ruled out in the Sand Hill, Quarter to Sand Hill area. So if I am to believe that maybe during the construction of the lines, whether there was fault on the part of the persons who laid the pipes. If we're going to have the same people do it again, then we probably going to have the same problem coming up again.
Well, what we're gonna have this time for sure is supervision. I'm not sure how much went into having site managers, project managers that are established by government, but we will ensure that the supervisory team by government is there on each and every site to monitor the insulation, to ensure that the bedding is compacted as well, and to ensure that you handle pipe with care, because if somebody gonna just roll the pipe in the trench, that can also fracture the pipe, right? That 5 feet, 6 foot drop, who knows? So we're gonna ensure that once the projects start, that we have people unseen monitoring these projects.
So who's the project manager?
Well, we have 2 engineers currently at the water department, and we have Mr. Romel Hughes also contracted to assist with all of the water project developments at the moment. But when the time comes, we'll put out a request for additional support.
Because he was around during the first phase of the planting of the pipes. And I'm wondering if well, you said maybe y'all may have to get other persons involved other than him. And that is a good thing, because if we're going to recycle the old people, we may end up with the same problem.
Can I say something, colleague? If I see a lot of what people have done in life is about an experience. So if you didn't get it right the first time, it was a learning experience. Do it better and do it right the second time.
Yes. Still on the topic of water. For some time, we've been hearing that the water produced in Crocus Bay, that a lot of it doesn't even make it to the tanks, that there's leaking in between those down the hill and up the hill. Can you confirm or deny this, if this is true? And if so, how much water is being lost?
Like everything else, pressure bust pipe, right? So from time to time, you would have leaks even in the transmission line. So we are looking to replace that line as well. But we do have daily reports in terms of what is received, what is produced, and what is received in the tank. So by all accounts, what we are receiving is exactly what we should be receiving and what we are paying for. Sometimes you get a leak that disrupts your supply from TSG, from 7 Seas, but we don't have any significant shortfalls in terms of what they're contracted to produce and distribute.
Can you remind us the price to complete this walk, the water?
Well, we have budgeted upward of 9 million for this period. The entire network is around 20-something million US based on the Castello report. So this is just a first phase in terms of the overall development.
Over the years, persons in the drag racing community have been promised a track, especially around election time, over past 20, 25, 30 years. And up to this day, we still haven't come to that point. What are government's plans to develop a drag racing facility? We know the many benefits, recreationally, of course, and business-wise, in terms of tourism and whatnot. Any plans to develop a drag track?
Yeah, that is part of our overall plan. First of all, we need to get the right location, acquire the right amount of land.
I was told just recently that plans were for to have it in the corridor area. Yeah, and yeah. So I don't know if
that has been something that was planned for years. I'm sure there was a a lease negotiated at one point as well. It is really not the right location, really not the ideal location. If you really look at it, where it is, it's right next to the dump, right next to Carito landfill. It's not ideal to have people gather in race in that area. We are definitely interested in seeing this project come to fruition. So we have it on our timetable to be able to acquire land and to be able to start the design phase of a really international type racetrack, not just a track where you give the association a strip of land and say here go ahead and put on some asphalt. We think it should be properly done to see the tourism benefits of a tracking of a racetrack. And Carito is not the ideal location for that. So I don't want to say too much because there are some developments, and as soon as we get over that hump, pretty soon we'll be able to give a really good update on that. And before that's before the year is out, we'll be able to give a really solid update to the public. And I know there are many avid race car owners, who are looking out and eagerly anticipating such an announcement. Mr. Cardell Richardson, a drag racer himself, he's very keen to ensure that we have the right land in the right location to deliver on this promise.
You would have mentioned, I think Mr. Vanderpool would have mentioned that a new chip and seal truck for government is underway. It's being built in the US. Do we have the personnel to operate it? And if so, if not, what is required?
So the team in the Department of Infrastructure is currently working on putting together a wider roads policy that will also include the usage of this truck. And we've been discussing, there are various ways that this could be done. The equipment could be owned by the government of Angola and leased out on a case-by-case basis. We could look at employing persons full-time to operate the trucks. So it's about weighing the pros and cons of all of the different approaches before determining how exactly it will be put to use. But these are the considerations that are currently being discussed.
Yes, and the price of it?
The price of the truck itself? Oh, I would have to, this purchase was made back in December. I don't have the price offhand, but I could get that information for you.
Okay. This is somewhat of a personal grievance. Me and my family would have planted about an acre of sweet potatoes there in the valley. And from time we planted it, we were told that agriculture does have the equipment to harvest them, a harvester for the sweet potatoes. And up to now, this is about 5-6 months down the line, that equipment is still not up and running for us. It's up to a point where some of the potatoes are starting to spoil. How does the minister, in terms of oversight of these ministries and departments, their role in ensuring that these things are available for farmers, equipment that is there does put down, not up and running, you're asking for it and you can't get it?
Thanks for that question. This is the first time I'm hearing about the equipment for harvesting sweet potatoes not functioning. It is one that I will now take up with the department. Mr. Richardson is Parliamentary Secretary for Agriculture. Perhaps he would have more information on it. But I can indeed, now that you have brought this to my attention, I can follow up on this with the department tomorrow.
This last question from me. Every year there's summer festival where the Carnival Village is, the spot to be. And after the summer festival, the booths are for the most part closed. I know there were plans before to have a 9-month, 3-month operating basis for the booths to be re-rented. Are plans for this still in place? And
Yes, absolutely. Know that we have the Festival Development Commission in place. And after the carnival season, they will be fully functioning and operational. The commission will take over has taken over complete oversight of it. So it's no longer with the department. And they will have a full plan for the utilization of the space throughout the year, because it is important for it to be utilized as much as possible year round.
Honorable Shelley Rogers, I have two questions here that I would like to ask you about. The incident that already passed. The first one has to do with, the incident that went viral regarding the fight with a number of school children
Right.
and the security officers. What could you tell us in terms of whether there would have been any disciplinary action? What has your ministry taken on board as it relates to these fights?
Okay. So two things. The majority of that would have happened slightly off the school grounds, going down into the park area as well. So the police were engaged, and a number of those students were formally engaged through the police process, right? So that's being handled separately. And of course, the education department is carrying out separate investigations into the matter for students where disciplinary action will be laid against the students on an individual basis. There were a number of students who were actually caught on camera. So you have video evidence of students who were there. So there is an actual behavioral policy and a disciplinary procedure and action that the school will take place for the students who have breached that disciplinary procedure.
Oh, thank you. The other one has to do with your town hall meeting in Stony Ground at Teacher Aurelia Kelly Primary School. What are some of the concerns raised by persons who attended that particular meeting?
Well, a couple of things. Road development, a number of persons would like to see their roads completed and done. There were a number of persons who raised issues regarding the garbage, not just in Valley North, but across the island, and what things are being put in place to ensure that the garbage situation is alleviated as much as possible. There were also concerns related to the grounds at healthcare facilities as well, that was raised. There were general concerns about the improvement of healthcare overall across the island. Those were some of the major things that would have jumped out to us from the actual town hall meeting setting and space.
I see. I don't know who's going to answer this one, but there's one relating to cost. I think I raised the issue, I'm not sure if I did it here or probably on radio. I know for quite some time the government of Anguilla has been asking persons to go to the hospital or the healthcare facilities and get the various checks, both male and female, but it is coming at a cost to persons. So I'm wondering, what could the government do in assisting these persons? Because if somebody has to go to get the various checks and they don't have the money to pay for it, most likely they would end up on the deceased side of life.
Okay, so a couple of things. As you're aware, Senior Shield exists for persons over 70. So if you are going to government hospital, you are fully covered. Junior Shield also exists. So if you are under 6 years old, you are fully covered in relation to that. Persons between the ages of 6 and
69.
69. If you have specific circumstances where you cannot afford to pay for services for whatever reason, there is a program through the Department of Social Development where you can formally apply and you can be granted a medical card that gives you either half off or a certain percentage off use of government medical facilities. So there is not a blanket free use of the hospital. As you're aware, we still need to pay for hospital services. We want good doctors, we want good facilities. That obviously comes at a cost. A lot of governments, the offerings that government offer are considerably cheaper than the private doctors or even going overseas. And we do recognize within the government of Anguilla that it is costly to get a lot of specialty services and stuff as well. We are aware of that. And that's one of the reasons why we brought in the mammography equipment. That's one of the reasons why we brought in the CM, again, because you can go to government's facility and get access to those facilities cheaper than going both overseas, but also to private care. We also recently launched MedAccess, which gives persons who are uninsured access to diabetic and hypertensive medication, both from the hospital as well as from private pharmacies. So if you are uninsured and you need access to these important medications, you have them free of charge via the MedAccess program.
I have heard that the government of Anguilla has acquired the Barbaros property for the track and field facility there in the quarter. Could you share any light on this? Whoever can, I don't know who.
Okay, I could answer that question. So we would have gone to the House of Assembly and we would have issued the compulsory acquisition notice. And basically what that means is that we needed to publish the notice in 2 ordinary gazettes. That would have taken place. So the second ordinary gazette would have been the end of June. So once that publication was made, what it means now is that the land in which we are acquiring the process can now start for that to be registered in the name of the Crown. What happens now, what continues is the valuation and the negotiation with the family to ensure that there is fair compensation, there's fair award of money for that property. The family and the director of lands and the acquisition officer, they have been having conversation in terms of what the arrangement can look like. It doesn't have to be just all cash. It can also be in the form of land swaps. So they're negotiating, they're talking, and trying to see how best to resolve it. As far as the land, the particular parcel, which is just east of Campus Q, it is 14 acres of land that we will be moving forward with for the building out of the athletic track.
While we're on this, I'm just trying to get it a little bit in order. There have been negotiations between the government of Anguilla and the landowners. From the last time I was at a press conference, I was told that was the route that y'all were taking, negotiations with the landowners and the government. Those negotiations fell through. That's why you had to go to the compulsory acquisition.
No, it doesn't mean that the negotiations fell through. There are several matters to be dealt with, and this is I would say it's not something to discuss in the public at this moment, but there are several matters to be decided upon, to be dealt with between the family and the department. And what I can say is that they're working through them. So in due course, we'll be able to update the public further. So there are times when you recognize that the process of coming to an agreement in terms of value, in terms of compensation, it takes quite a while. So while that is taking place, the compulsory acquisition process allows for government to be able to have the land registered in its name and progress the things for the country, for the young people. We would want to see that next sports day, that the children of the Albina Lake Arch Comprehensive School and the children of the primary schools, that they run on a athletic track next year. That is our goal.
I see. Now, this question would be probably to Mr. Vanderpool. So I guess the same principle may have to apply with the lands for the expansion of the Clayton J. Lloyd International Airport runway.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I understand your question correctly. Are we talking about the lands that was compulsory acquired
Yes,
to the
yes,
east
sir.
of the runway?
Yes.
Well, as the minister outlined, that process has been completed. The two gazettes did go through, and so that land is now vested within the crown.
No, I'm speaking in terms of the lands for the airport. I know there are a number of areas of land that have to be used for the expansion of the airport. They are privately owned lands by different persons. Government have been negotiating with these various persons as relates to what area of land they may be required, and how has this process been done?
Well, the process is ongoing. As you mentioned, there are a number of parcels of privately owned land, particularly to the north of the existing airport strip, that will need to be acquired.
Yes.
Letters have been sent out to the landowners, and the director of lands and his team are in communication with the various landowners. But as the minister would have said, for example, to the lands to the east of the runway, which were compulsory acquired, compulsory acquisition allowed government to have that vested in its name and move forward with the process while you continue negotiations, etc. So it's more so, as he said, about not impeding the development, but the process is still ongoing with the privately owned landowners to the north of the runway.
You mentioned the road from the forest to Tanglewood.
Yes.
If I should ask, would that road be done through a tunnel, or tell us exactly how would the persons from Tanglewood get into the forest when the airport is completed, the runway is completed?
So at this time, though, it's not envisioned that it would be a runway. It's planned that once the runway is extended to 7,000 feet, that road from Tanglewood going around will be shifted further east beyond the end of the runway.
I see.
If I can just give a quick update to Mr. Brooks, he would have asked the question about the sweet potato harvester. Pertaining to the harvester, a piece was broken and had to be replaced. This much needed part will arrive on the island tomorrow.
Yes, I have a question from a member of the community regarding the state of the burial cemeteries on the island. It says, we noticed that almost all the cemeteries are full, including the Sandy Ground Cemetery, which is the only public cemetery on the island. What is being done to address new cemetery space and other options such as cremation?
The cemetery issue in terms of land space is one that is on our list of priorities, because we have to acquire some land somewhere to be able to continue burials. Sandy Ground, there's an issue of encroachment over on the south side, and we are engaged with the owners of that land to be able to purchase additional lands that we can utilize as continuation of the public cemetery. As it relates to cremation, it's a matter right now being handled at planning department. I have been getting some updates both from the private sector in terms of the applicant, and also some updates from the LDCC committee. We intend to have a meeting of all parties, because to get information in silos, this party would say one thing, the other party says another. It's not going anywhere. It's not helping us. So there is a proposed meeting for all parties to come together in this room again. We would have met maybe a couple months ago, and I thought that everything was resolved once the applicant would have submitted the document that was asked for. I thought that was the final thing to be sent in. Lo and behold, we are still here. It means that we need to meet again one more final time in order to address this issue, this long-standing issue that dates back years.
I can't help but to speak about the state of the cemetery in Sandy Ground also, where some at the top where wood has been, like a cesspool for mosquitoes and rodents and whatnot. The upkeep of the cemetery, what is being done to maintain the cemetery?
That question I am not able to answer. There's a Cemeteries Act And I am not aware right now at this table
Who's responsible
who's
for it?
responsible. I can't tell you right now. I would have to do some searching myself to find out who's responsible for the maintenance of the cemetery. As Minister of Lands, I'm responsible for providing the land necessary for it, for burial. In terms of maintaining and managing the cemetery, there's a cemetery act that I would have to refer to, and I don't have the act in front of me right now.
I wanted to question to, I think, Mr. Vanderpool, as relates to the road, the Jeremiah Gums Highway through to Little Price Gym Road in South Hill. And you mentioned that one of the setbacks or the hold-ups was the removal of a pole or poles. I think some time ago, Anglic did remove one of the poles from a particular area. And I'm seeing now the layout of the road, still the pole that were planted is not planted far enough outside of the road markings. So I'm wondering who did the negotiation with between the government and the landowners and the contractors. It would appear as if that pole may have to be taken up and replaced.
Well, this would have been a coordinated effort. One of the reasons that took so long for the pole to be relocated is that they had to redo the surveys to make sure that it would be going in the correct location. So while I understand it is your opinion that it's not in the correct place, I myself would have to be default to the expertise of the persons who are involved, whether that be from the department, whether that be the surveyors and the contractors and everyone involved in the process. I myself would hope that you're not correct and that its pulley is too close and then we have to do some corrective measures.
It's plain to see, Mr. Bannerpool. It's
Well,
down
if-
there. It's plain to see that the pole that is planted now is still in the area of the curve. It's in the road.
Well, it's in the area, but to say that it's too close, that would be, again, a question that I would have to defer to the expertise of the surveyors and those in the department.
I guess you can have a look.
Are there any further questions before we close out the press conference? All right, thank you so much for joining us and have a pleasant afternoon.